தெரியலையா?
It's a wireless.
Yes.
Pull it back.
It's not so cool.
Okay, va?
Wait speaking. I will do this.
Okay, va?
தெரியலையா?
Face marathi.
Silence.
Is it fine now? Okay, hold it. I'll come and adjust. Very good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of Chennai Book Club, I take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for this session. And so far, CBC have hosted different types of sessions. So we had many book reviews by eminent reviewers. We had book reviews with the authors themselves. We had book discussions, and we had book launches as well. Today we have a special, kind of lecture or a session on translation. For that, we have an expert, who is one among us today. Language. We consider language as something that connects people. If that is so, translation is something that connects languages, which in turn connects people. Languages is a translation is a fundamental act of cognition and creation. I remember one of the quote which was said by Professor Dr. K. Chellappan. He says that நிகழ்வுகளின் மொழிபெயர்ப்பு நினைவுகள், நினைவுகளின் மொழிபெயர்ப்பு கனவுகள், கனவுகளின் மொழிபெயர்ப்பு கவிதைகள். Every instance that you see in your life is translated into memories. Memories are translated into dreams, and dreams are translated into beautiful pieces of poetry. As far as literatures are concerned, there are three types of translation which we see. One is linguistic translation. Second one is interlinguistic translation. Now, second one is intralinguistic translation, and third one is intersemiotic translation. Interlinguistics between two different languages. Intralinguistic between a particular language, can be a rephrased version or whatever it is. And third one is intersemiotic. Intersemiotic is translation of different signs into different forms. For example, music into poetry, or a poetry into a beautiful type of art, painting, or whatever it is. This is intersemiotic. Out of all types of translation, the most difficult one is literary translation. Out of literary translation, the most difficult one is translating a poetry. Okay, translating a poetry needs three unities or equalities which we need to follow. The first one is the linguistic equity, the choice of words, and second one is the stylistic equity. Okay, how do we structure those words? And third one is the cultural equity. Okay, even you need to compromise on different cultures. Every language is embedded with different cultures, and translation is just kind of a bridge that connects two different cultures. So we have a guest person who is an expert in doing all those things, and she had translated one of the beautiful pieces of Tamil literature, that is Bharatiya's poetry, into English. Okay, to introduce her formally, I welcome my fellow coordinator of this club, Ms. Kriba.
Thank you, Prem, for that awesome introduction. Today with us here we have a person of multiple facets, Ms.Bhooma Veeravalli. She is a senior officer of Railways, currently working as Principal Executive Director, HR, Railway Board, Ministry of Railways. She has also held senior positions in IIT Madras, ISRO, and Indian Institute of Classical Tamil. More interestingly, she is immensely talented with diverse interests. She writes and translates poems, travelogues, blogs, and she is a voracious reader and a popular speaker. She is also trained in playing veena, and she is passionate about organic farming and Carnatic music. Her recent books, Violets, Glimpses of Bharati's Poetry, A curated translation of the poems of the great nationalist poet Subramanya Bharati has been widely acclaimed. Her subsequent translations of Bharati's verses from a large part of the coffee table book on Bharati, published by International Institute of Tamil Studies, Chennai. She is currently involved in translation of Sahitya Academy award-winning short stories into Tamil. She strongly believes that translation is a medium of cultural integration and therefore national integration. Tirukkural and Bharatiyar are of abiding interest to her. During her tenure as director, Indian Institute of Classical Tamil, she enabled publication of translations of several works of Sangam Tamil literature, including that of Tirukkural in Telugu, Punjabi, Manipuri, and Gujarati. Her recent book, Pilots, is released by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi.
Tirukkural Gujarati.
Tirukkural in Gujarati was released by Shri Narendra Modi. A seminal work of a compendium of 18 English translations of Tirukkural was also compiled by her. Now over to ma'am.
Okay. பெரிதினும் பெரிதாய் அரிதினும் அரிதாய் சாதனை புரிந்து புரிந்து கொண்டிருக்கும் புரிய தூண்டும் அண்ட் புரிய போகும் அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். வாரம் யூடியூப்ல லிங்க் வாட்ஸ்அப்ல வரும் இந்த ப்ரோக்ராம். சென்னை புக் ஹவுஸ், அந்த எக்மோ புக் ஹவுஸோட இதெல்லாம் ப்ரோக்ராம்லாம் நான் சைலண்டா டெல்லியில உட்காந்துட்டு இதை பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பேன். அப்ப நான் நினைச்சுப்பேன், நான் ஒரு வாரமாவது நம்ம இங்க வரக்கூடாதா அப்படின்னுட்டு. சோ இந்த தடவை நான் மெட்ராஸ்க்கு லீவ் போட்டு வந்த போது ஒரு சின்ன மெசேஜ் கொடுத்தேன், நான் மெட்ராஸ்ல இருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. உடனே கூப்பிட்டுட்டாரு. ஆனா அதுல ஒரு சின்ன தப்பு ஒளிவண்ணன் சார் பண்ணிட்டாரு. நான் அந்த பக்கம் உட்காரணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்டேன், அவர் என்ன மேடைக்கு இந்த பக்கம் உட்காந்து வச்சுட்டாரு. எனிவே, I have more confidence in him than in his confidence than in my own self. ஓகேவா? அவர் ஏதோ இந்த பக்கம் நான் நின்னா ஏதோ ஒரு அவர் என் மேல என்ன விட எனக்கு இருக்கிற கான்ஃபிடன்ஸை விட he has more confidence in me than I have in myself. Okay, so let's hope that confidence is well placed. So I think the introduction had more substance and he spoke very well about different types of translation. I am not going into the theory of translation. He is there to do it. He is much better than me at doing that. Right? So I am just going to talk about an experience of translation. Fine? Is that okay? And I am hoping at the end of the day, many more people will take up translation. And that will be the future. The reason I'm standing here today, there are two reasons standing there. The first one I have told you, which is sitting to my left. Okay. The second reason is the 3 commandments given by Subramanya Bharati on how a language will grow. Can anyone recite those 3 commandments? Now, இப்படி சொன்னா maybe you may not recognize, but Tamil and the poetry, like he has given 3 instructions to people on how Tamil can grow. Of course, which can be universally applied to everyone. Can someone tell me what are the 3 instructions he's left, as I call the 3 commandments? Okay? No. I mean, well, that's what he thinks. Eat, write and speak Tamil. But there are 3 things. What he says. பிறநாட்டு நல்லறிஞர் சாத்திரங்கள் தமிழ் மொழியில் பெயர்த்தல் வேண்டும். Can anyone translate this? Commandment number 1. Fair enough. Do we need it? Do we need a translation? No? Yes or no? No. Huh? Means that we need to translate great works of people from other lands. Right? இரவாத புகழுடைய புதுநூல்கள் தமிழ் மொழியில் இயற்றல் வேண்டும். Second commandment. Right? In the books of great fame, which will be indelible, which will remain in forever, We need to create such books in Tamil. And the third one, he says, திறமான புலமையெனில் வெளிநாட்டார் அதை வணக்கம் செய்தல் வேண்டும். If we have works of great eminence, it should be taken across the globe for people to revere, not just to appreciate. They should revere. That was his 3 commandments for any language to grow. He has said it in the context of Tamil. So he has set the tone on how important translation is to a language. Translation in, as I call it, and translation out, and of course creating new material. So 2 out of the 3 commandments relate to translation. So I request all of you to think seriously about translation. And in today's world, of course, you people are millennials and Gen Z, yeah? Right? Have we crossed and came to ZA or ZB? Ilya? We are still in Gen Z. Okay, fine. Because I'm anyway a boomer auntie. Okay, and not boomer auntie. So we know that today's context, you're talking about Bharatiyar and Tamil, which, okay, is there, fine, fantastic. But today's context, shrinking world, globalization, ella kelvipattadha. Today you cannot afford not to translate. Just think about it, yeah. You get up in the morning, go to the toilet, and start with your favorite face wash or shaving cream, whatever. I can't even talk about genders today. Okay, right? So whatever you do, what do you do? Open a new packet. What is inside the packet? Apart from the shaving cream, one instruction manual, which will have in 16 languages what to do with that item. Yes or no? I think I remember seeing that Ayo Shraddha. There she says how to wear a mask. 16 languages it comes, like that. So starting from there, and then you go into the kitchen, you start looking at Heba's kitchen or Dasana's recipes, and there also you start translation. Then you go to office, and then you go to and nowadays you go to a restaurant and you have somebody who is probably from the northeast or something, and then you will have to kind of translate, or what you call intersemiotic translation as to what we want in the translation is everywhere. You can't escape it. Whether Putin wants to talk to Xi Jinping or he wants to talk to, he may not want to talk to Vladimir Zelensky. We need translators everywhere. Yes or no? So your translation can start from your instruction manual to international diplomacy. Translation is there everywhere. You can't escape translation. So why not take it with passion? Simple question. Yes? Yes? Sir, tea edavadhu kedaikuma? Sattame varala. Yes? Yes. Okay. So that's my passion. But don't ask me how I started my translation. That was passion, straight away. And I have 3 people to thank for it. 1, COVID-19. Okay. 2, my friends who don't know Tamil, who can't read Tamil. And 3, the language orphans in my family, my son and my niece, who are good at all languages, kind of, but who are not very good at any one of them. So basically, this is what started me into translation. And the most important person, I don't want to name his name, is that we were talking about Bharatiya's poetry. Somebody was sharing a nice memory. Apo, they were sharing some nice, this was the beautiful days when we were able to travel, those COVID times. Then I wanted to tell them that Ethanai Kodi Inbam Vaita Engal Ireva. I wanted to share with them a Bharatiyar poetry. So I said, okay, they don't know Tamil, so let me go to the net and start looking at translations. How many of you know Tamil? Right? If I tell you the translation, you just tell me whether this poem was, what is a poem like? It says, looking up and walking straight. Okay? The women of today do not believe in virginity. This was the translation I found in net. Can you guess the song? Bharatiyar's poetry. Looking straight and looking up and walking straight. women of today do not care about virginity. Do you agree with this translation? Can you tell me what song I'm talking about, Bhartiyar poetry? Which poem am I talking about? Looking up and walking straight. And women of
to translate and translate, but I have not read that.
this is that நிமிர்ந்த நன்னடையும் நேர்கொண்ட பார்வையும் நிலத்தில் யாருக்கும் அஞ்சாது. But look at the no, I won't call it audacity. I would just call it atrocity in translation. செம்மை மாந்தர் திரும்புவதில்லையாம். And they are translating women don't care about virginity. This was a translation. I was like outraged when I saw this. I said, if this guy can translate and put it on the net for everybody to be to completely misunderstand, the first thing I did then and there was translate it in whatever stupid English I thought was good, and then put it saying that your translation is wrong. I made it my remark, saying this is not what Bharati said, and I had to put my translation. So that's how the journey started, and it went on, and the rest is, I won't call it history. The rest is probably there in that. Where? This is what is the rest. Firelets. Okay. And it took me more time to give the title than to write the translation. Fine. The story goes there. So we agree on two things so far. Yes, ma'am? Do we agree on two things? That translation is inevitable in the modern world? Yes or no?
Yes.
Second thing, we agree, sir. You are a good speaker. So you tell me, do you agree that translation is something which is not a one-time job? It's a journey. Do we agree on this? Okay. So any journey begins with the first step. And I believe the translation has 7 steps. The Saptapati. It is like what he said, you know. It's like a marriage. There is actually one quote which says, Robert Frost says that, not Robert Frost, I think it's Goethe. It says Goethe. It says translator is like a broker who creates an abiding interest in the subject with the new population. And I would think that it is like it's an intellectual courier. Very often there is a quote which people always say, poetry is what is lost in translation. Have you heard this quote? Throw it into the dustbin.
Yes, transcreation we can say.
I like it. I like it. Excellent. It's transcreation. Except that nowadays I'm scared of using the word trans. Okay. But it's like a translator is not doing it. There is another quote which is often doing the rounds, which says that a translator is an imitation which gives, which is a flattery of mediocrity to excellence. Take only the first portion and throw the rest into the dustbin. Straight. Simple. Translator is not a dud, is not a dummy. He is a creative person, and if you are not creative, you cannot translate. And if you are not involved, if you are not passionately involved, it cannot be done. Simple. Dil se aana hai. That's the simplest thing. It has to come from your heart. So, the journey begins. The journey begins with the first step, which is that you have to be enamored by the original. You have to, like, you have to feel, I should have written this. This fellow has beat me to it. Why did he do that? I want to write this. That passion has to come first. I've always thought that I was born 120 years too late for Bharati. That passion, oh my God, I love this. That passion has to be there. If you don't have it, don't start it. Period. The first step. The second step to it is actually to decide that you want to translate. क्या बड़ी बात है? What is a big deal? இல்ல அப்படிதான் நினைப்போம். இது டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் பண்றதுன்னா எனக்கு வேணும். இது வந்து this is not like your instruction manual translation. அது சும்மா பைசாக்காக. But real literary translation, which he said is the toughest part, is what comes out of the heart. Okay, you decide to translate, and then you decide which verse you are going to take in translation, or which chapter, which story, which book you are going to, like he did on artificial intelligence. You need to understand that which one you are good. You identify which one you decide. இப்போ ஒரு சின்ன சேலஞ்ச் வச்சுக்கலாமா? Okay, now how many of you would like to think? Let us assume for a change எல்லாரும் இப்ப நாளைக்கு டிரான்ஸ்லேட்டர்ஸ் அப்புறம்னு. Shall we decide that? அப்ப now at the bottom of your heart you just choose ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு. Choose something. Now mentally you please take it in your mind. I'll give you 120 seconds and your time starts now. Kripa, can you be the timekeeper? Huh? Take 120 seconds. Decide which one you are going to translate. First you decide which language. Let's do that small exercise. Agree? Yes? Yes, ma'am? Right. Okay, your time starts now. ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு யோசிச்சுக்கோங்க, எது வேணா இருக்கலாம். அது என்னது அந்த இது ஒண்ணுமே K-pop கூட இருக்கலாம். You can decide. What is that K-pop song? ஏதோ ஒண்ணு வந்தது. No, it is now. It's now within your time. 120 seconds are there. Which is that K-pop song, beta? Papa, whatever. Oh, anyway, I mean, I'm big zero at it. Okay, you can choose anything. 120 seconds. Punjita, have you all decided one? Something. It could be a movie song. It doesn't matter. Something which caught your fancy. Night and day, you will be able to think of it. You should think that I want to do this. Okay? Like he said, I can translate, but I can't retranslate. That's what he said. Okay? Ready? Decide pantingla. Anything. It can be a movie song. Okay? Take that in your mind. Now, the first thing that you do after you decide that you are going to translate this piece is to understand the context from where the author has come. Correct? So, if you are the movie, time is up. Okay? Decided? Now, who wants to go first? Tell me. No, I want the youngsters, not babies. You are a baby. You are too young.
Yes.
Anyone wants to say something? Yeah? She's nodding her head. Is it like this or like this? Yeah? Somebody who wanted to write short stories. You thought about it?
One book Malayalam called Aadu means boat life.
Aadu Jeevanam. Okay. Now you've decided. Jeevitam. Who has written that? Benjamin. Okay. Now Benjamin has written Aadu Jeevitam, and what is your name, sir? Aditya is going to translate it. Done. Let's decide that. Now, how many other books has Benjamin written?
The first time I'm getting introduced to it.
Okay, so now you've decided to translate. The first job you do, this is step number 3 we are in. Okay, it's a Saptapati. I told you 7 steps, and by the time you are completing 7 steps, you are ready. Your marriage with the original author is complete. Okay, so the first step that you do is to decide, or the third step is to read other works by that author. It is not that you decide to translate adu enna adu yaro yarodi. Okay, you decide to translate the song. It's just that you should not stick to that song, because you have to understand the context from where the person comes. இல்லையா? அவருடைய எண்ணங்கள், அவருடைய மனோபாவங்கள், அவருடைய பின்புலம் என்னங்கிறத நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். Yes or no? Okay, so you have to read other books of Benjamin. If you are translating a novel, go, and if he has written poetry, go there. If he has written essays, read that. Adhu paatko. Let's understand everything. Okay, so that is the next step. then you are kind of set. Like today, my biggest dream right now is to translate Jay Mohan into English. Now I'm also having this idea. Now I've got approval of Sahitya Academy to translate Manipuri short stories into Tamil. எனக்கு மணிப்புரியே தெரியாது, but I have to translate. How do I do it? I have to understand the background of Manipur, its history, its society, its environment. அப்பதான் அந்த உயிர் வரும் அந்த டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன்ல. So step 3 is very critical. Right? Now, what book are you going to translate, sir? 120 seconds la enna decide panninga? Nothing. You can't translate nothing. You have to translate something. Now, I'm very seriously asking you, you have to think. Sir, purple shirt. You declared it is purple and not blue. Arizona. Tell me. I gave you time to think. Favorite film song in a latest hit உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்சது? என்னை விட்டு? யார் எழுதினது? No idea. So that is your first job. Find out. Okay? So the most important thing we do is to understand the context of translation. Okay? That is the third step. Aichu. Then what is the fourth step? You're asking, madam, 7 step la 4வது வந்தாச்சு, இன்னும் translation நம்ம ஆரம்பிக்கல இல்ல? We have not even started. But believe me, it's better to sharpen your axe before you cut the tree branch. So fourth step that you are going to decide is the art. You have to decide what will be the design of your translation. இது என்ன அது புது கதையா இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்வீங்க, ரைட்? எடுத்தமா ஒரு போயிட்ரியை டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணமா இல்ல ப்ரோஸ் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணமா முடிச்சோமா போவோமா அப்படின்னு கேட்பீங்க. am I correct? See, it's like this. அவர் சொன்னார் இல்லையா, translation பண்ணும்போது each verse or each book or each story has a context. Okay va? So let us take Jay Mohan, Anai Doctor. How many of you have read that? Did you like it or not?
I read it.
You read it, sir?
Yes.
You loved it or you liked it?
Definitely wonderful.
If you want to translate, would you like to translate Jay Mohan's Anai Doctor or not? Which book? Fortitude. Right. Now we will talk about Fortitude next. Apart from Benjamin, of course. I'll come back to you. I'm not letting you go. Okay. So let's take Fortitude. Tell me about it. Why you liked it?
First of all, it's a Russian novel.
Okay.
It talks about how the youngsters during that time they went to a far east area into a jungle to build a city. Where till that time no people have lived there, but they built a city out of it, which contributed in Soviet victories during the World War II.
Excellent. Excellent. So now he has got it. Now what will be your step 3? It's a novel. He said it beautifully. In fact, that's why I said I'm not getting into theory. Ipo, it is not just a language. Language is something which has got a life. Every word in a language has got a life of its own. Ipo ivar solrar illaya, he is talking about a book called Fortitude. Correct? And the Fortitude oda book பின்னாடி ஒரு history இருக்கு. There is a it's a social history plus political history plus World War. It's got a lot of background to it. We need to just, when he decides to do Fortitude, he will not stop preparing with reading that book. What else will you read? I didn't get your name.
Sibi.
Sibi, what else will you read, Sibi, before you translate this book?
Yeah, these are the other books by Nasa.
Yes.
And kind of similar novels came during that time.
Okay.
And there are few things that the novel addressed, the World War situation. So what was the situation during that time in that particular area? So Siberia and Far East. I used to read that. And the culture, so how the people thought and how, so what they did during that time. So
Did Sibi leave anything out? He covered culture, he covered the period, he covered history, he covered that author. Fairly wide coverage.
The language and linguistics.
That's also another thing that you need to probably understand a little more. Certain slangs that have been used in that language, even geography matters. Like I'll tell you the story, I'm now writing on Manipuri short stories, I told you. இதுல ஒரு ஸ்டோரி வந்து World War II, you know, Manipur and Imphal was one of the most hit cities in India during World War II. சென்னையை தவிர ஒரு சிட்டில பாம்பு போட்டாங்கன்னா அது இம்பால்ல. You know the story. So you need to அந்த ஸ்டோரியில அந்த பீரியட்ல இம்பால்ல இருந்து வில்லேஜ்க்கு ரெஃப்யூஜிஸா வந்தவங்களோட ஸ்டோரிஸ் பத்தி ஒரு ஸ்டோரி இருக்கு. I need to understand the background of World War II and what happened in Imphal. What was the fight about? Yes, sir. Am I right or wrong? So இதெல்லாம் புரிஞ்சிட்டதா I can get a feel of that. Okay, after that we still have not come to the fourth part. That is the design. See here, let us take a simple example. ஒரு பாரதியார் poetry யாருக்காவது பிடிச்சது சொல்லுங்களேன். Any poetry, anything, anybody can talk, including babies. Yes, sir. சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே. Thanks, ma'am. இப்ப சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியேக்குன்னு ஒரு சில ஃபேக்டர்ஸ் இருக்கு. Can you tell me what is special feature of that? Mother's love. Correct. இன்னைக்கு டே புடிச்சாங்க, சரியா புடிச்சாங்க. ஓகே, அண்ட் அதோட எதுவே மோனே எல்லாம் ஒரு இது சில சமயம் வந்து ஃப்ரீ வேர்ஸா எழுதிருக்கலாம் பாரதியார், இல்ல சில சமயம் அவர் வந்து ஃபுல்லா ஆசிரியப்பா கரிப்பா எல்லாத்தையும் வெண்பா எல்லாம் போட்டிருப்பாரு. What are we going to do? In a new language, you will not have the same poetry structure. Obviously, English does not have the same structure. Appa, how do we, which are the factors in the Chinnanchiri Kiliyela which we are going to take into the new one? Concept matram panna poroma illa adoda and edugai monai alliterations and the literary devices, linguistic devices ellam are we going to carry through, or are we going to have the same word rhyme structure, word structure? There are so many things that you have to do. So let us decide. This is the, which step are we in? Fourth or fifth? Fourth step is to decide which features of that we are going to take over in translation. Obviously, our chonna madri, it cannot be identical. It has to be different. Enna, or language is attached to a culture. As I said, if you want to give a face to a culture, or culture eduthu or society or culture eduthu paatona, adukku or body kudukronu vechukonga. If we give it a body, the face is the language of the body. The language is the face of this body. It is through the language. It is not just a language. You have to go behind the language. அவங்களோட கல்ச்சர். இப்போ ஒரு மணிப்புரி டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்றோம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாக்க, அந்த மணிப்புரியில இருக்கிற பழைய காலத்து பாட்டி கதை, அவங்களோட தாலாட்டு பாடல், லலபாய், மணிப்பூரோட அவங்களுடைய பழக்க வழக்கங்கள் எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சாதான் என்னால டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ண முடியும். There is a poem, the short story which is talking about Manipuri dance. அப்ப மணிப்புரி டான்ஸ்ல இந்த ட்ரெஸ் போடுவாங்க, இந்த நாட்டியம் நடக்கும், ராதா வேஷம் போடுறாங்க, கிருஷ்ணா வேஷம் போடுறாங்க, அந்த ஒரு ட்ரம் மாதிரி ஒண்ணு கட்டிட்டு டான்ஸ் ஆடுவாங்க. So the point is, what is the name of it? I have to know all this before I translate. Yes or no? இல்லைன்னா அது எஃபெக்டிவா வர முடியுமா? That is very important. So we need to know which feature we are going to take from here to there. அதை decide பண்ணோம். So இப்ப நம்ம decide பண்ணியாச்சு என்ன பண்ண போறோம், அதுக்குரிய பேக்ரவுண்ட் படிச்சாச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் we go into having a structure for our translation. Okay, then comes step 5. மேடம் இப்பவாவது டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா? Right?
our seventh session, 7th point வரணும்ல,
இன்னும் இருக்கு. And the fifth part that we are going to decide is to decide, very important, is the target audience. யாருக்காக translate பண்ண போறோம்? That's very important. Am I going to translate for millennials? What are you, Gen Z or millennials? Whatever you are. Am I going to translate for them, or am I going to translate for the people, older people? There are two types of extremes among people, readers. One who know the original language, who know the original author, who have enjoyed the original author as much as you have, if not more. That's one group. Correct? There is another group at the other end who don't know anything about the author. You have to introduce all of them to it. Now, if I did Bharati, I know 75% of you would have read Bharati at some point or other in your life, right? So you will have one image of Bharati, like what that other translator did. I got angry with him because I thought he is translating Bharati wrong. Like that, there is one group. There is another group who don't know Bharati at all. People who are outside Tamil Nadu. Am I going to translate for them? இது ஒரு முக்கியமான கேள்வியா? Do you think this is important? Tell me. Does it matter? Yes, sir. Madam, you are hiding. Yes. Tell me, is it important to know this? Is it important to know the target audience when you are translating? Why? Why should I understand the reader's mindset? Is it not necessary that I understand only the source mindset, author's mindset?
The reader won't understand. They won't understand their mindset and not be able to convey our idea. They'll be just reading a book just for the sake of reading. They won't take in what they have to do.
Do you agree with her? Yes? So now, let us say he wants to translate fortitude, something that happened 80 years back. Correct? How will you translate it to her? She does not know the author. She does not know the history of Vladivostok, whatever the place it is. Do you know? So, if you have to translate it to him, he was too young to be born during World War times. Okay. It's him, or you have to translate to her. Your method of translation will be different. Your language will be different. I'll give you a quote. I think I'll just get this. This poem, I think now I'll have a. There's something which I was talking to. I think I may need my charger. Yeah. Somebody, when I was translating Bharati, somebody told me that it's there. Every 20 years, a language changes. ஏற்கனவே டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணதை கூட ரீட்ரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணணும். இன்னைக்கு மகாபாரதம் everybody not even retranslate, they rewrite it, they recreate it, and they write it in a different perspective today. And the Ram, Sita, Ravan, how many of you have read this trilogy? Completely different way of writing. Whereas in translation, that cannot happen. You are translating somebody's work.
Sita was born to Ravan. Ravan.
I know, but why not? Literary freedom. So now my request. So the same language keeps in English Tamil every 20 years the language changes. I am not able to understand what my language my son talks, and he claims it is Tamil. Unfortunately. Okay. I am not able to, and he doesn't understand half of what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm a boomer auntie. What else do I do? Okay. So language changes every 20 years. So even what has been translated earlier can be retranslated. There is no problem about it. So translation definitely needs to quote to time, the audience, the environment which matters. Like if I'm going to translate to Tamil audience, or if I'm going to translate to a Nepalese audience, the environment matters, the culture matters, the future culture matters. So I was thinking that this is something. I'll just give you a small quote. I'm going to again go back to my favorite, my muse, Bharati. Okay. கற்பு நிலை என்று சொல்ல வந்தார் இரு கட்சிக்கும் அத்தினை பொதுவில் வைப்போம். It's completely revolutionary for someone in 1906. Okay. வற்புறுத்தி பெண்ணை கட்டி கொடுக்கும் வழக்கத்தை தள்ளி மிதித்திடுவோம். Anyone needs a translation for this? Now I am going to read a translation of this two lines which was done in 1911 or 1913. This translation was done. Okay. And they talk of wedded faith. Good. Let it be binding on both. But the custom that forced us to wed, we have cast it down and trampled it underfoot. நம்ம இது ஒரு translation. Okay, I'll read it again. And they talk of wedded faith, good let it be binding on both. But the custom that forced us to wed, we've cast it down and trampled it underfoot. There is another translation. Often they counsel on chastity. It applies to both genders equally. We have stamped out the practice in force, compelling women to wed without choice. I'll read it again. Often they counsel on chastity. It applies to both genders equally. We have stamped out the practice in force, compelling women to wed without choice. எது நல்லா இருக்கு சார்? நீங்க சொல்லுங்க எது நல்லா இருக்கு?
Obviously, second one.
நீங்க சொல்லுங்க சார். ஏன்னா first one was done in 1916. And if I tell you who translated it, you will kill me. This was translated by Subramanya Bharati himself, of his own poetry. His English was too good. But unfortunately, his English was 1906 English. The second was translated in 2021 by me. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't want to score a point over Bharati. That was not my intention. But the point I'm trying to say is language changes over 20 years. So we need to keep, there are seminal works which you can keep translating again and again. Okay. So that is one thing. Now coming, so that brings us back to the subject of target audience. So we need to know, I used to have fun. Basically, I'll translate some verses and I will send it to my son and my niece. Both the versions. I'll translate one version which I picked up from internet and what I did. Without telling what is what, I used to send it on mail to my niece in Australia and then I'll send it to my son. I'll ask them which one do you like more. I'll also send it to my elder brother who is like close to 60 and my father. Invariably, I could see the gender difference. And whose side did I choose? Yes?
The youngest.
Yes, because my target audience, I was very clear, is the newer audience to Bharati. Okay, so I always chose it. Much my father was saying, you are spoiling English. Your language has gone down. You used to write good English. I said, sorry, Pa, this is meant for the next generation. Okay, so we used to do that again. And so therefore, as I said, target audience. Now at last we come to step 6. Mandichama, are we in step 6 now?
After 5, 6.
Correct, no? Okay, my math is slightly weak. Okay, so I need some help. Step 6 is actual translation. At last. இல்ல கடைசியா பேப்பரை பேனால வச்சிட்டேன்ப்பா.
Verbal translation.
Literal translation. Now there are two ways of translating again. One, you read the whole thing and put it in your way. In your own way. A.K. Ramanujam used to do that. Sangam literature பண்ணும்போது he never did it verse by verse. He'll read the whole thing together and then he will, more or less it will be verse by verse, but after reading the whole thing and he will put it together. The second way is doing verse by verse. There is nothing which is right or which is wrong. It is your choice. Ultimately, what you need to do is convey it. Take the intellectual package from here, cross all the hurdles and deposit the intellectual package there. So you can do it chapter wise when you are translating Fortitude, or if you are going to translate, what is that book I forgot? Adi Jeevitam. If you do it, you can do it chapter wise, paragraph wise, whatever it is. But my first advice is read the whole thing once before you translate. Then you choose how you want to do. It's your choice. That much freedom at last we have. Then the 7th step, I have to get, the marriage should be over fast. Correct? The 7th step is a very critical step. Enna, have somebody review it. The power of 2. I'm not talking about the editor's review that normally happens.
That's what you opinion. That's what.
But not professional. This is someone whom you trust. This is a personal editing. What you need to do. and you have to time it well. You should not do it immediately as soon as you write, because you yourself will be redoing your work, and you do it after a while and take a break. When you write so much, you take a break of a week, come back to it. You yourself will think, I've done something stupid. I can bet not even a single person will exist who will say, I have not, I mean, it's fantastic, I don't want to touch it. Irkuma, do you think there'll be a single person in the whole world who translates and says, my first translation is perfect, I will not touch it? It never happens. I can take a bet. Any place in Chennai, I'll give you a treat. You name the hotel. I can take a bet. But at the same time, you can't redo it and redo it. Then that original creativity, the passion, the whole, where your heart was, that will be lost. Because every time we correct it, we'll go into the linguistic part of it, not the heart part of it. The bhavam will be lost. So don't do it too much, just a little bit. And so when to do it, how much to do it is again your choice. Okay? And once you do it and the material is ready, there you are. The marriage is solemnized. And your editor is now the Agni before which you have to agree. Okay? Where it goes from there. So that is important. I just want to give you a small thought to think. Right? I'm going to tell you a few numbers. 789. Does it make any sense to you? Does it make any sense to you?
It's an Islamic.
No. 789 languages exist in India today. Languages, dialects, 789 languages in this one country.
The serial number 730 is
That is the mathematician in you talking.
the last highest number.
And second thing is, out of that, 289 are recognized as languages. I think maybe 799, I made a mistake. 289 are recognized as languages, baki are dialects. And believe me, out of this, 121 languages spoken in India have more than 10,000 speakers, which is a definition for a language given by international. And we have 24 different systems of languages, writing systems. And we have 50 languages at least where we have active printing and publishing going on in the country. இப்படி ஒரு country உலகத்துல கிடைக்குமா உங்களுக்கு? We have the maximum number of languages in any country in the world, excluding Papua New Guinea. அங்க இருக்கிற tribals எல்லாம் நம்ம கனெக்ட் பண்ண வேண்டாம்.
ஒரு small interest. தமிழ்ல எவ்வளவு dialects written and spoken?
Written script ரெண்டு தான் நம்மளுக்கு. But dialects are numerous. அதுக்கு ஒரு ஸ்டடியே நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு சென்ட்ரல் இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் ஆஃப் கிளாசிக்கல் தமிழ்ல.
Some number.
CIIL is there. I'm not sure, but there are enough dialects. இப்போ what we are now talking is, இப்போ ஒவ்வொரு dialect, ஒவ்வொரு language, நான் வந்து I just decided I will do one translation from Northeast. So நான் வந்து போனேன் அந்த இதுக்கு சாகித்ய அகாடமிக்கு. That's my favorite haunt in Delhi. எனக்கு போர் அடிச்சதுன்னா இல்ல ஆஃபீஸ் ப்ரெஷர் தாங்க முடியலன்னா சாகித்ய அகாடமி லைப்ரரியில போய் உட்காந்துருவேன். I just picked out 9 books. Believe me, I just got floored. ஏன்னா Dimasa tribe of Nagaland, they have one story set. They have proverbs, they have poetry. அவங்களோட fairy tales. I mean, it is mind-boggling, yeah. The number of, just imagine if we are having so many cultures, just imagine so many languages means so many cultures. அந்த கல்ச்சர்ல அவங்க பாட்டி கதை சொல்லுவாங்க. எத்தனை பாட்டிகள் அவங்க பேரங்களுக்கு கதை சொல்லிருக்கணும், பேத்திகளுக்கு கதை சொல்லிருக்கணும். Just imagine what a wealth of literature we are having. And because we are not able to translate, we are losing so much of value. Yes. And believe me, all this talk about, I told you, my philosophy is that translation is the backbone of cultural integration, which is the backbone of national integration. I don't need law and rules to do this. A single book, if I read, and the Dimasa tribe, which is called the Children of the Mighty River or something like that. Dimasa tribe in Nagaland, அது ஒரு சின்ன tribe in the border of Assam and Nagaland. அந்த ட்ரைபோட ஸ்டோரி கல்ச்சர் பார்க்கும்போது எவ்வளவு ரிச் லிட்ரேச்சர் இருக்காங்க. How much we are losing because we not aware of each other. I think it has to be a mission. And if we have this cultural exchange through language, there's nothing else that we can do. Like I said, this Bharati's poetry, when I was able to talk in Sahitya Academy, there was an artist next to me who's an Odissi dancer. She said she wants to do Bharatiya's songs in Odissi dance. We are now working together. So there is so much more to translation than just writing from one language to another. If that is what I want to say, translation is not writing from one language to another. It is you are the cultural ambassador of one culture to another culture. And in this country, I think, forget about translating and even foreign countries. Of course, that will eventually have to happen. But within this country, so much diversity, so much wealth of literature, language, story, culture, art, dance, music, dress, food, my favorite, food. So much of them are there. We are missing it out simply because we are not able to relate to each other. And one best form of relating to each other is translation. And I personally believe there is a lot of scope. Recently, someone from Ministry of Education was talking to me, and they are saying today the government wants to focus on Indian language translation, not even foreign language translation. We are now doing this. We are actually now working on a project. Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan has joined this project. But what I am trying to say is there is so much to do in this field and so much of scope. So those of you, literature students, even those who wear pink salwars, have to please understand that there is a lot of wealth available for us, and it is there for all of us. And into that heaven of joy, my father, let my country awake. Jai Hind. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Huh?
Now the floor is open for interaction.
I think they must be tired. Yes?
ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೈಕ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ತಂದಿச்சு
Now they can't be tired.
it's a wonderful lecture. I think as if I am hearing a university class. So nice. And
that is why many of them want to sleep.
And
if you sleep, I'm happy because my voice is so sweet. If you don't sleep, I'm happy because my content is so good. So either ways, I'm good.
actually it's not sleepy, it is only instigating. You know, it kindles our thoughts.
Thank you.
So apart from the applause, I would like to ask just one question, not more, they will not allow me. Which is the best Indian translation, best language to translate in Indian, among the Indian languages, as you feel?
Sir, I tell you, after reading a lot of translations from Sahitya Academy, as long as you translate one Indian language to another Indian language, there is absolutely no choice there. Everything is good. I have found out that translation from Indian language to foreign language, including English, even though I have done this, I can tell you it's much more difficult. But any Indian language to Indian language, you can bring the culture, you can bring the thought. And second thing I have realized is, again, this translating a Japanese book, the geisha novel, for one, has really brought out very well, because that background culture has to be brought in, make us understand. But that novel can be better understood by an Indian than by a Westerner. So translation to me is more a matter of culture than matter of language. So to me, there is no choice. Fabulous work. I mean, we are just into a world of treasure house of literature. We cannot do that. Yes, sir.
My curiosity to know that today the artificial intelligence is taking over everything, including the translation. How do you people like?
After my last discussion with you, I tried. And I found that artificial intelligence, even whatever we call as conversational AI, cannot take over translation because there is something called bhavam. சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே மேடம் சொன்னாங்க, அதுல ஓடி வருகையிலே கண்ணம்மா உள்ளம் குளிருதடி ஆடி தழுவிலே கண்ணம்மா ஆவி this thing. Now you get it translated by your chat GPT, and if you think it brings out this thing, sir, I will give you a treat in any hotel in India, Chennai. I have given the challenge to any of them. That is the biggest advantage we have. You can get language translated, you cannot get the spirit translated.
Excellent, madam. Excellent.
It cannot be done. I tried it also. Even in prose, it cannot be done. Forget about poetry. Even prose cannot be done. His novel, his short story Unjal, till this date, I can tell you, even today I remember on the Unjal aadikondirundadu. That's how he ends it.
As a matter of fact, translation is not everyone's cup of tea. It requires real dedication, devotion, and profound love towards doing that.
Yes.
Because whenever translation part comes, as madam had crystal clear pointed out, that you should know the culture, society, the way of living, and the way in approach, they approach to things in their day-to-day life pretty much matters. So it is in one way you need to understand the culture, society, people's mindset, everything to translate. For example, I tell you, madam was awarded a warm welcome by us, we say. Warm என்றது வந்து கோல்டு கண்ட்ரியில வந்துட்டு அப்பா குளிர்து, நல்லா இருக்கு, சூடா அங்க நெருப்பு வச்சா நல்லா இருக்கும், இங்க நெருப்பு வச்சா நம்ம ஓடுவோம் வெளியே, ஐயோ இங்க பாரு உட்கார ஓடல. So that warm welcome, it is used in cold countries. But since we are following English, we cannot say madam was awarded a cold welcome. Cold na என்ன மாதிரி நம்மள வந்து எப்படி அவமானப்படுத்தினாங்க அந்த மீனிங் ஆயிடும். ஆமா. Similarly, many poetic translations also, they do according to their culture. Munshi Premchand had written many novels, madam may be aware of, but it cannot be translated and presented to the Tamil audience because the culture, society, everything is entirely different. Munshi Premchand's novel will never suit here. That's why many of the Hindi movies made there does not click here. Many of the Tamil movies made here, even though it is a super hit movie here, there it will be total failure. So translation requires to understand fully and in depth the culture, society, the mindset, everything related to that area. That will make the translation really meaningful and significant.
I am going to make a very beautiful point. This warm welcome is something which I really appreciate. I am going to have one thing. I am going to make a very controversial statement now. I want all of you to react. I want to tell you that the job of a translator is much more difficult than the job of a creator. I don't want to undermine the role of a creator. Without a creator, I cannot have a translator. Let me put that clear. But the job of a translator, I am making a very controversial statement. Please argue with me. I am opening the forum for argument.
Yes, Chalita. It's a double role. The original writer will think, translator will have to think twice.
1 minute. That if somebody wanted to say. Yes, you are right. Exactly. I will come to that. சொல்லுங்கம்மா.
அது வந்து அந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் எப்படின்னா, இங்க பெருசா இருந்தது அங்க சின்னதா இருக்கும், அது மாதிரி தானே?
இங்க அங்க கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுங்க, ரொம்ப அழகா பேசுறீங்க.
அதானா இங்க சிக்கன் இருக்குல்ல, அதான் பெருசு, இங்க பீஃப் கம்மி இல்ல. இப்போ இது கன்னியாகுமரிக்கு போயிட்டோம்னா பீஃப் பெருசா இருக்கும், சிக்கன் கம்மியா இருக்கும். இந்த மாதிரி தானே?
ரொம்ப அழகா பேசியிருக்கான் அந்த பையன். ரொம்ப அழகா சொன்னாங்க. சோ நம்ம எழுதும் போது அத புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு எழுதணும். அதுதான் நீங்க சொல்றது. ரொம்ப அழகா இதுதான் சொன்னேன். I told you, no, the child is the father of man. The emperor has no clothes ன்னு சொல்ற தைரியம் அந்த குழந்தைகளுக்கு தான் இருக்கும். I really appreciate it. What's your name, sir? Come here, Porco. Porco, come here. Please give a big hand to Porco. Keep it up, Porco. Okay?
Just hold on. Nice moment, sir. Sir, Patra sir, கொஞ்சம் தள்ளிங்க sir, ரொம்ப bright-ஆ இருக்கு. Bounce ஆகுது, right? இன்னும்.
Okay. So this is what I am saying. Creative, he has to only satisfy his creative urges. எனக்கு மைண்ட்ல இந்த தோணிச்சு ராத்திரி தூக்கம் வரல, இந்த வார்த்தை வெளியில பேப்பர்ல போட்டா தான் எனக்கு தூக்கம் வரும் அப்படின்ற ஒரு urge மாத்திரம் he has to meet. Whereas a translator has to actually control his urge to write what he wants, try to reflect this urge. So he has two responsibilities: to be true to that person, to be true to the reader who is reading. Two people he is answerable, and both are not himself. So it is double the responsibility, and he doesn't have freedom to the extent of writing what he wants. So two responsibilities with half the freedom means that it is 4 times difficult. And you need 2 skills in the original language and original culture, in the new language and new culture. So 2 skills you need, again with half the freedom, which means again it is 4 times difficult, right? 2 into half. So therefore my thing is, my challenge is, a translator should not be dismissed as someone who cannot create. It is just that they have taken a creative path which is tougher out of sheer passion to do that. Yes, sir.
Hi, ma'am. Actually, உங்க ஸ்பீச் ரொம்ப சூப்பரா இருந்துச்சு மேம். நிறைய பேருக்கு ஐ ஓப்பனிங்கா இருந்துச்சு. அந்த இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ், அது பேஷனோட எப்படி பண்ணா அது எப்படி வெளியே வருன்றது ரொம்ப சூப்பரா நீங்க சொன்னீங்க. எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட் மேம், நீங்க ஒரு டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணி சொன்னீங்களா மேம், அப்போ பாரதியார் அவரோட போயிட்டே இங்கிலீஷ்ல பண்ணும்போது இப்படி பண்ணியிருந்தேன். 2021ல பண்ணும்போது நான் இது பண்ணியிருக்கேன். எவ்ரி 5 years there's a trend changes, மைண்ட் செட் சேஞ்சஸ் இருக்கும். ஒரு 10 years ஒரு 15 years கழிச்சு நீங்க டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணதை நீங்க எப்படி பாப்பீங்க, எப்படி நீங்க சேஞ்ச் பண்ணணும் நீங்க நினைப்பீங்க?
I already have this thought. I mean, I'm trying to talk to Oli sir about it. I already have a feeling that if I do it, I might want to make a few more changes. But that will be cosmetic changes. And I feel 5 years down the line, if I'm going to talk about it, it will have slightly different language, slightly different approach. இதுல ஒரு சின்ன விஷயம் இருக்கு. இதுல என்னன்னா, சில கான்செப்ட்ஸ், you need to choose your material very carefully. சில கான்செப்ட்ஸ் they stick across time. These are very sticky concepts which are valid even centuries later. பொய் சொல்லக்கூடாது, திருடக்கூடாது, அந்த மாதிரியான கான்செப்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் over centuries they will remain the same. There are some concepts which will evolve over the time. இப்ப நம்ம அந்த கான்செப்ட கொண்டு இன்னைக்கு லாங்குவேஜ்ல எழுதும்போது we need to be very careful. I want to share this angst and agony I feel when I hear Roald Dahl rewrite பண்றோம் for today's. Have you heard this controversy that is going on? Enid Blyton, Roald Dahl, all these Agatha Christie, they are all being rewritten today because இன்னையோட கல்ச்சருக்கு அது சூட் ஆகல. Let's remember that every book is a product of its time. Agatha Christie Enid Blyton novel The Children Were Gay and Happy அப்படின்னு இருக்கும். அந்த காலத்துல கே ஓட மீனிங் வேற, இந்த காலத்துல மீனிங் வேற. When we read it today, we should remember it is a product of that century. We should not start rewriting that book. Today's book should reflect today's cultures and values and ethos. This is something which you didn't raise, but I want to bring it.
So going back to that translation that you did here, I believe if you gave that to people here, I think it would be different because I don't know what was your intention, but I thought you were trying to play it safe when you were translating. Sorry. Sorry if I'm mistaken.
No. I was only trying to put the thoughts of
No, but I
Bharati.
thought it was a lot safer than what Bharati actually told in Tamil. It sounded more intense when Bharati is.
Actually,
You get what I'm saying?
I
Those
tell
two
you,
lines you read.
No. What happens is, normally a concept, if you say it in your mother tongue, it always comes out more intense.
Okay.
It is not the.
I thought the meaning varied.
Yeah, there is a shade of a difference in the
Yeah.
meaning. He is talking about wedded faith. That's what you are coming to.
Yeah.
Whereas I have talked about chastity. There is a difference. And I will tell you that I think Oli sir was part of my journey. Kani Nilam Vendum. How many of you have heard this poem? Kani Nilam Vendum Parashakti. பாரதியாரோடது. அதுல ஒரு வேர்ட் வரும். அங்கே பத்தினி பெண் வேண்டும். Believe me, this was the toughest line I translated. பத்தினிங்கிற கான்செப்ட் இங்கிலீஷ்ல எப்படி கொண்டு வருது? But was Bharati talking about a chaste woman or was Bharati talking about a soulmate there? I gave it to one of the most renowned translators ever. And he had, what was the word he had used? Chastity or something he said. Virgin. He used the word virgin.
Life partner.
No, he used the word virgin. And he is one of the most revered translators alive today. And I was supposed to change it. This is where I am giving a challenge. Pattini pen vendum. Angu paattu kalandidave angeyor pattini pen vendum. This is what Bharati says.
Madam, he has made a literal translation. It's quite wrong.
He said for mixing of music. Literally he said, it should have been written as for mixing of music. I need a virgin woman. I was offended. Now you tell me the answer.
No, the
This
context-
person is 75 years old.
This is where I vary. The context is like somebody who is. See, all of us create context and references. So when he said virginity, there is more of a pure person without any influence. No,
Correct, but-
that's how I take it.
It may be.
No, every word has a contextual meaning. No?
Correct. So when I am putting it in today's translation, I cannot use the word virgin because today's context, virgin has a different meaning. That's what I was trying to tell her. When I translate today, I need to get the old concept, but in today's context. I should not lose the old context, but at the same time, that same understanding should be there in her mind. If I tell her I need a virgin woman, she will kill me straight away. Yes or no? And Bharati did not mean virgin as we see it today. You can say you will have a virgin coconut oil, but you can never have a virgin woman. Right? Therefore,
use a beautiful word. Pious.
pious. But pious again has a connotation of spirituality and religion. What Bharati really, according to me, this is why I am telling you, write this fantastic, sir. This is why I am telling you, translation is not an easy task. அவர் எழுதிட்டு போயிட்டார் சார் பத்தினி பெண் வேண்டும் அது ஒண்ணும் கிடையாது பாட்டு கலந்திடவே அங்கேயோர் பத்தினி பெண் பாக்க எழுதி போயிட்டாரு
Shall I tell? I require a virgin lady. I cannot say. I cannot say my wife is a virgin. I would better prefer to say in a beautiful light that my wife is a pious lady.
But he is not meaning pious there. He is meaning more like a soulmate. பாட்டு கலந்திடவே அங்கேயோர் பத்தினி பெண் வேண்டும்.
Madam,
This was a
to conclude, I say there are two different words. Exactly, not necessary. Virginity is separate. Wife or true soul life partner is different.
in the context
Totally
what
opposite.
should be the word that we should apply. That is the question. Now your younger generation, my book is for you. When I translate, it is for you. I think I'm taking too much time. She is coming as my watchdog timekeeper. So I would just like to put this thought across. This Pattini Pen Vendum, literally 2 days I did not sleep over this. Over this, I lost sleep for 2 days.
More an intellectual companion.
It was, yeah, we needed an intellectual companion, somebody whom he can relate to, he can share with. It was like, பாட்டு கலந்திடவே means that he wants harmonies, synergy. இது எல்லாத்தையும் அந்த ஒரு வார்த்தையில அந்த மனுஷன் போட்டு போயிட்டா சார். இதை நான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல போடுறதுக்கு நான் பட்ட பாடு எனக்கு தான் தெரியும். And that too after this gentleman who is so revered in the field of translation, he made this comment. I literally had to rethink and rewrite it and put it in a language which I did not want to compromise with my language also. It's very tough. But as I said, the tougher it is, the more challenge it is. Okay?
So what is the result?
Sir, result is there. Firelets, glimpses of Bharati's poetry. இது திறந்திருக்கா? So as I said, now if I had written virginity, would you accept it? There, that is the point which I want to make. Sir, please படிச்சுக்கோங்க. ஏய் அவரோட புக் நான் கொடுத்துட்டேனா he will get angry. Okay, so that is it. Any other questions or should I say ma'am எப்ப டீ கொடுக்க போறீங்க? Other than the question you can ask anything because that is our answer, not mine. Okay, right.
Actually, quite a number of them are sitting outside and listening to you through YouTube.
Okay.
So she will be asking your question.
Yes ma'am.
Really, your translation work on Bharati made me to just come out with many things inside. Though I was late, I couldn't listen to your lecture from the beginning. What made you to translate Bharati's?
My passion for Bharati first.
Okay.
Number one. And the number two is when I see people around me who live in Tamil Nadu and who can just barely understand Tamil, I thought they should know this great man. To me, even today, right now, I am translating Tagore's poems.
Super.
I can tell you, yeah, he got Nobel Prize. If Bharati had a chance, he would have got Nobel Quiet Prize. I think he deserved it. Third thing is, of course, there is so much beauty. And it in a time when we were all so depressed, this was something which was inspiring. Bharati's poems never fail to impress,
Yes.
never fail to inspire,
Especially for women.
even today,
Especially for women.
especially women. So, and youngsters. So I said, there's nothing else I can do better than doing this.
Thank you.
It was serendipity, nothing else.
Thanks for the great job what you have done, ma'am.
Thanks. Okay. Right, ma'am? Any more questions? Madam, now எப்ப கிளம்பலாம்? I am worried about him because he is the one who has to cross everybody to learn this place. Come. My co-speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's time to honor our chief
Don't honor me, just share with me.
reviewer today. To honor ma'am, I would like to call the chief coordinator of our Chennai Book Club, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
எல்லாம் மூன்று தேவதைகள்.
இதுதான் என்னோட அடுத்த டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் முயற்சி.
It's a collection of short story written by Oisa himself.
I've already done one of these stories. Okay, the rest of them I am going to do.
Thank you, Joyce, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
In English?
Yeah, I've read that first story I have done in English. I sent it to Oli sir for his approval. He's yet to approve it. I don't know. I'm hoping I'll get his approval. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
It's time for gratitude. So on the outset, I would like to thank Ms.Bhooma Veeravalli for sparing her precious time and being with us here and transferring her knowledge in translation to all of us. As someone in the start of the meeting, I think it is sir who said that he felt that he is in a university classroom. Even I too had the same feeling. Today's session was more of like a workshop, I would say, because ma'am gave a beautiful introduction to translation, and she slowly led us into the 7 essential steps in translation. So thank you, ma'am, for giving us that clarity. And not only that, you also gave us small exercises within this 1.5 hour slot. You also gave us some exercises, and literally you have changed it into a workshop. I think we have to document this as a workshop, not a talk, book talk. So thanks a lot for that, ma'am. And I'd like to thank Oli sir for anchoring this program. Not only this program, so continuously he has been doing literary service through groups like Varangal Padipom, Varangal Padipom,
Hi Vanga Kadake.
Hi Vanga Kadai Ketlam, which is meant exclusively for kids, and our yes, led by Subhashini ma'am, and our CBC. Next, I would like to thank our organizers, Joycey ma'am and Prem Kumar and Manona, CB sir, who is actually doing technical help for us. And I would also like to thank all the regular book club members, and I would also like to welcome and thank all the new members who have come today. It's a small request from my side. It will be good if you could stand up, introduce your name, and tell us